I have the pleasure of having this morning or today with us a very good friend of mine, Samantha Thomas. She is going to share with us this morning her background and tell us a bit about what she does in the fitness business and fitness coaching, and how exactly she works with her clients. Good morning, or good afternoon, I should say. Sam, how are you? You okay? Good,
Yeah,
good,
I
good.
am. Good afternoon. How are you?
Very well, very well. Again, thanks for joining us today and sparing us some of your very precious time, because I know you're a busy lady. So, Sam, for the people listening, just give us a bit of a background about yourself and what you've been doing over the last 5 or so years. I know that you've recently moved, so tell us a bit about that.
I came to Salisbury last year,
Okay.
but I came and closed down my business. I came and literally started my life again, just personal circumstances dictated that I needed to. I already had a PT-based business, and the reason I got into that hasn't changed, and this is why I've come back to it. And I'm as passionate about it now as I was when I was first in my qualifications. If not so, more passionate about it, because I see everyday people suffer with things that they don't need to suffer, and then they need to push their body to get their way out of it. But for me, my journey really started when I was in a bad place myself,
Okay.
both physically and mentally. So that's where my PT journey really started back in
Okay.
2014,
Good.
2015 really. Yeah.
And so for yourself, you're basically someone who, from your own personal experience and, if you like, circumstances which were not ideal, would you say you've learned from those, and you'd like to share your experience so people can perhaps avoid those? Would that be fair comment? Yeah.
It's not even so much about avoiding. I mean, we all have a life to live, and we all have our lessons to learn. And if we learn everybody else's lessons and never then take a leap of faith and jump in and never learn our own, because we think it's wise just to jump in and understand that, well, somebody else did that, so I better not do it. It's not necessarily the right answer. You have to learn the lesson from your perspective on your terms. But that doesn't mean that understanding the perspective of somebody else that's learned a very similar lesson isn't worth sharing.
True.
So all I do is share my perspective on a lesson that many people have learned from themselves, and they've gone different ways about dealing with it, because for them that's worked. But ultimately, understanding that other people have been there in that position has helped them get through that and learn the lesson and move on. And I think that's what it's all about. We're all here to teach, to learn, to grow. None of us are proper experts in anything, because there's always something to learn.
To learn about. Good, good. So just humor me for a moment now. So I'm a potential client of yours. Obviously, I've come to a point on my journey where I recognize that I need to start investing in my fitness, my well-being. Tell us about your unique approach when it comes to fitness, education, and coaching and teaching.
So for me, I would want to know exactly where a client is and what it is they're looking to gain, basically their purpose or their why. If they're coming to me just because they want to lose weight, then I would probably refer them on to a PT that specifically deals with losing weight,
Okay.
because that's not what I'm about. I never came on to this journey because I needed to lose weight, and I don't ever look at myself and think I need to lose weight or gain weight. That's never it. For me, it's about how I feel. I need to feel better about myself.
Okay.
So for them clients that need to feel better, more stable in but more control over what's going on in their head in relation to their body, they're the clients for me that I can help, because that was my journey. So that's something I can resonate with, and I've got something to offer from that perspective.
Okay. And why do you feel that's important to you? Because it's an interesting point, because a lot of the mantra, if you like, within the industry, and you may agree or disagree, is very much about how you look and our weight and fitting in a particular clothes, which I understand to a degree, but why do you think it's important that we shift the focus away from just those things?
Because they're vacuous, they're empty. The result is never the goal. The result is something nice to have. Actually, how we feel about getting there is the thing that we all actually want, because it's the thing that makes us feel good and keeps us going. It keeps us motivated. Because people always ask, where do you get motivation from? How do you find the motivation to carry on? It's dead easy. It makes me feel good. That's why I do it. The people that I work with, they feel good because they do what they do with me. That's why they do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't, then it doesn't work. So if you come to me feeling bad and we work in a session and the session feels bad, but you're still working towards your goals, actually, that's not going to motivate you in the slightest.
Yeah.
That's not going to get you towards your goals.
Mm-hmm.
Something else might do entirely. But until you feel that you are happy in the place with what you are doing, your progress it doesn't happen. You stay quite stagnant, and that's my experience of life. And like I said, that's my experience in life in general. I'm sure there's people out there that would disagree, and that's fine. We're all entitled to an opinion, but it is just an opinion.
Yeah, true. So your ethos, if you like, is very much about your energy and vibration and how you are feeling, as opposed to just focusing solely on how you look and the aesthetics of fitness, which, as I said before, is a very big deal in the industry as we speak today.
Yeah, absolutely. Even take my own training, for example. I have my own set training routine. If I get up one day and I go into that training routine and I actually think, do you know what? I'm not quite feeling it today.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that I'm not physically capable today, so I'm just not quite feeling it. I just won't do it.
Yeah.
Because I know I can't give everything to it, and therefore I'm not getting out of it what I need. And
Mm-hmm.
to me, I take that as a sign that my body and my mind is telling me, today you're just not up for it, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Rest and come back to it when actually you are up to it. And that's the way I take it. And ultimately, I still get all the results that everybody else gets.
Yeah.
I just don't batter myself into submission to get there.
Mm-hmm. So it's
It takes
important.
it takes a little bit longer, and I don't mind that. It's the journey, it's not a destination.
Yeah, true. And I suppose it's important for people to remember and recognize that, isn't it? Because a lot of the time people do get hung up on not doing it all the time. Now, we're not saying consistency is not important. It definitely is important. But there are times when, as you say, you just don't feel like it. Yeah.
Well, this is it. And do you know what? This happens with everything in life. Sometimes you'll plan something and you'll plan something with your kids, and actually something will happen and then you can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
This happens throughout every aspect of our life where we plan something and we just can't quite live up to the expectation of that plan on that day.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just training. And that's kind of training for life, as it were. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you can't learn how to deal with it and give your space the time you need to deal with it, then ultimately you're just fighting yourself all the time, pushing a bad headspace. And there's no point putting yourself in a bad headspace.
It's true.
But and then the consistency comes. The consistency comes with learning how to balance the both.
Consistency is key. All right. So we understand exactly how you can help people and your unique approach when it comes to educating and coaching. So what would be the first thing that you would advise for people to do in order to get started? So often, and you may have come and encountered this yourself, people often come with a mantra, I don't have the time. So what would you say in counter to that, for that people that recognize they do want to invest in their fitness, they want to invest in their health, they want to feel better? What would be one of the first things that you would tell them that they need to do?
So I like to get people prepared to do something, because sometimes just saying we'll do something, even with the greatest intention, doesn't mean we'll do it.
Okay.
And that's just part of being human. It's just part of life. It's not that we don't want to do it. It's that we think everything else weighs us down. So if we prepare ourselves for the fact that actually that's where we want to get, we're not working at it yet, but that's where we want to get, kind of plan it ahead, vision board it, or with whatever way, stick it on a notice board somewhere, just so that at some point soon you are going to get yourself into a headspace where you can start actually dealing with that, and it can start becoming part of your life. And it's everything, it's like a tap, bits at a time. Remember, that's where you want to go and you will get there. It doesn't mean you have to actively act on it this moment. Yeah. And I think that's really important, because that's how I get there a lot of the time.
Yeah, so it's recognizing that and remembering that and reminding yourself of that all the time, isn't it? So good. And so once I've started, I'm on this journey now, I'm working with yourself. What would you say is the keys to keeping motivated? I think you touched on this before, but what would you say is the keys to keeping motivated?
It's everything, feeling good. When you feel good, you're aligned. And when you're aligned, everything kind of works out. Even if life ain't going exactly to plan day to day, everything still feels good and it still feels right. Because being aligned and feeling good isn't about everything going right. It's about feeling. And ultimately, as long as you're feeling it, it's going in the right direction. If you're not feeling it, you've got to stop and ask yourself why, and see what the lesson to learn is there and how you can redress the balance and get back onto it.
Mm. Now, I know from speaking with you before, Samantha, and obviously speaking with you today, you sound like you're someone who is very much aligned and aware of how they are feeling and how they are thinking. Has that always been the case for yourself?
God, no. Absolutely not. I'd love to sit here and say yeah, but actually, we can't lie. No, it takes a lot of time and a lot of practice to get aligned. It's not an easy thing to do because we all assume we're aligned until things go wrong. And then when things go wrong and it shocks our system and we fall apart, we realize how unaligned we actually are. And I think it's that falling down and falling apart that starts to build us back up, and so we start to understand what it actually means to be aligned.
Okay.
And it's quite a journey to go through.
And what would you say it is, because as I mentioned, speaking to you in the language that you use, you sound that obviously you are very aware of how you're thinking, how you're feeling. So for a lot of people that I speak with, they're completely, you could argue, blissfully unaware in terms of their conscious and subconscious thoughts. So was it that it took an unfortunate situation to start you on that journey, or was it something that you just, kind of fell into? How did you start to become more aligned and more aware of your thoughts
I
and
think
feelings?
it's really, really weird. I think as a kid, I've always been aware of myself and quite sure of what it is that makes me tick.
Okay.
And as I've grown up, I've been taken away from that path and I was taken to other places. And as is, life happens and you forget who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have that massive fall apart and everything literally just falls away from you and you're left with nothing but yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you have to face it. Actually, what is it that makes you feel alive again?
Okay.
And then that's, I think, when you understand what your passion and you become aware of yourself again, what it is that drives you, what it is that makes you want to get up in the morning and do stuff, what it is that you're contributing all the time.
And what would you
And
say?
what it means to look after yourself to other people.
And what would you say is for you, or was for you, in terms of your, once everything was stripped back, what would you say your passion and your drive was?
Just seeing people happy. And
Okay.
it's literally that, because I like to be happy. I like to be bouncing around doing stuff, doing cartwheels and behaving like a 5-year-old. And I've often been told as an adult, you're not too old to do that. You shouldn't be behaving like that. And I'm nearly 40. And do you know what? I can still do cartwheels and backflips and all that kind of stuff. And do you know what kind of 40-year-old can say that? And but it's nice actually in the fitness industry, there's plenty that can say that. Exactly, perfect. And doesn't it feel good? And doesn't it feel good that you can go and do that with your kids and think, actually, when they have grandkids, I'll still be able to do it with my grandkids? Because you're giving that life back. So by constantly giving it to yourself, you're giving that life back and you're energizing what's to come as well. Yeah. And I think for me, that just that bond of happiness and spreading that is what it's all about at the end of the day.
And you help people experience that through the medium of fitness, health, and well-being.
Yeah. Just self-awareness and understanding of their alignment.
All right, Sam. So just to conclude then, how would people connect with you if they wanted to find out more about Samantha Thomas? Where would they need to go? Websites, emails, and so on and so forth, Facebook? How would people connect with you?
So at the moment, it's just email and Facebook. I am currently working on my blog website, as it were. So I'm going to be putting more content out there to help people. And I'm building my wellness network. Anyway, you've probably seen on Facebook yourself with Facebook groups. Yep. So that if people do come to me and I don't feel I'm the right professional for them just yet, I can probably refer them on then to the person that is, which I think is always a good tool to have in your box anyway. That this isn't about making money, it's about doing the right thing. And it's about helping people understand what the right thing is by them, so that they go and live their lives and be happy.
Good. So
for me, Facebook is the best way by far at the moment to get in touch with me.
Okay, and when do you hope to have the blog finished? In the next couple of months or so people can start reading your content? And
oh no, I'm planning on getting it finished this weekend with any luck. That's my deadline. My deadline is this weekend. If it takes a little bit longer, but certainly by next weekend it definitely will be up. But I'm hoping this weekend I'll have it up. I've had a bit of time now, so I want to put that time into that while I've got it, and then I'm not worrying about that. I still have it to do.
Okay. And any future projects that we should be aware of? Anything up and coming,
So,
workshops, webinars, so on and so forth?
not so much workshops, retreats. Funnily enough, I've always wanted to do retreats.
Yeah, I know.
And
We
we've had
spoke
this
about that a while
conversation
back
before.
too.
Yeah, I don't want to do boot camp wellness retreats because I think they've been done to death. And ultimately, when I see, I've worked as staff on these retreats,
Yeah.
I don't see that the results are lasting. I think it's like Instagram. It's instant, and people want the instant effect, and it doesn't last. So I'm wanting to do a retreat for more of a longer term effect. So I'll call them obviously alignment retreats, where I teach people to start the starting process of what alignment really means, and that's both physically in your physical self, so that you feel like training and understand what your body feels like when it wants to train and what it feels like when it doesn't. And then how that fits into your normal everyday life. And when even so much as you go to work and everybody's in a bad mood and you don't want to be in a bad mood, how do you keep that alignment and not fall into the prey of what's going on in your environment, and just stay aligned, basically stay feeling good. I think these are all really, really important things that if we learn them, they make us better humans. Because
Yes.
we're happy, and happy humans are better humans.
I was talking about that not too long ago, about if we all spread a little bit more joy in the world, I think the world would be a much less frustrating place. So I have to agree with you there. I definitely have to agree with you there. We spend so much time in that sort of mode, and we very rarely look, not in peripheral vision, but if you just take time to share a bit of love or good news that way, or share a bit of good news that way, it will help in terms of raising people's vibration and energy. So definitely. So we'll keep our eyes peeled for those that information about your alignment retreats in the not too distant future. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Samantha Thomas, I again thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, and I look forward to speaking again. Yeah, no problem at all. Thank you.
Okay, you take care.